Hello and welcome back. Today we're going to talk about finding the GCF of polynomials. So all that means is you're given a binomial or a trinomial or any polynomial, and you have to see if there's something you can factor out of this. This is an example, 4x plus 10. One of the easiest examples, that's why I'm starting with it, 4x plus 10. The first thing you're going to do, no matter what, is take a look at the numbers. And the best way to do that, to find the greatest common factor of a number, is to use Desmos. You could do it by hand. I could go over here. Let's give different numbers. I could go over here and let's just say we wanted to find the GCF of 6 and 10. Just the greatest common factor of those two numbers. What you'd have to do is you'd have to find all the factors of 6. So factors are what two numbers multiply to equal 6. So you have 1 times 6, and then you have 2 times 3. And that's it for 6. For 10, you have 1 times 10 and 2 times 5. And that's it. So the greatest common factor was which one of these numbers that they have in common, the biggest number that they have in common. They both have 1, but they also both have 2. So the GCF of 6 and 10 would be 2. So sometimes for some of you, you're going to be able to do this without having to use Desmos and without having to write all this down if you wanted to do it by hand. But I'm going to show you today, I'm going to show you how to use Desmos. So if you have, like I said, the first thing when we're finding the GCF is we're going to look for the numbers first. So we need to go to Desmos. So in Desmos, to find a GCF, you want to hit the keyboard arrow, hit functions, and then go over to miscellaneous, and it's this one here, GCD, greatest common divisor. For our purposes, they're the same. So our two numbers were 4 and 10. So you want to type in 4, separated by a comma, and 10. And then that'll tell you what the GCF is. The GCF is 2. So we go back to our problem. So the GCF of 4 and 10 is 2. So that's the greatest common factor of these two terms is 2. In the future, we're going to have to look to see if they have the same variable. These two don't. So the only thing we can take out is the 2. So now you take each of these terms and divide it by 2. So 4x divided by 2 is 2x. 10 divided by 2 is 5. All right, to get this, we divided this, and then we divided this division. This is why some people call factoring reverse distributing, because you're taking this and you're pulling a 2 out. So if we distribute and take everything outside and multiply it to the inside, 2 times 2x is 4x, and 2 times 5 is 10. And we're back to our original problem. So if it's easier to think of it as reverse distributing, then you can. But we're just factoring out whatever these terms have in common. In this case, their greatest common factor is just the 2. Well, let's do another one. Let's do this one, 10y and minus 5. So again, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to look to see if these numbers, or coefficient, in the case of the 10, have a GCF. So we're going to go to Desmos. We're going to get this out of here. And we're going to put in 5, 10. And our GCF is 5. So we're going to go back. The GCF of 10 and 5 is 5. Our GCF is 5, so we know we can pull out a 5. And then since there's only one of them has the y, we can't do anything with the variable. So all we can do is divide. Again, our GCF is 5, so we can divide the 10y divided by 5 is 2y. And then negative 5 divided by 5 is negative 1. So this would be our answer. Again, we can check our answer by distributing this 5. And once we distribute, 5 times 2y is 10y 5 times negative 1 is negative 5. Once we distribute, we should get the same thing. And we did, so we know we did it right. So let's make it a little bit harder with this one. This one, they have the same variable and they have coefficients. They have numbers and the same variable. So the very first thing we do, we're going to check to see if 4 and 24 have a GCF. So we're going to go to Desmos. And I'm going to show you from the start again. You hit this keyboard and you go to Functions, and it's in Miscellaneous under GCD. So you put in the two terms, 4 and 24. And it tells you that the GCD, or in our case, the GCF, is 4. So we know that our GCF for the two numbers is 4. And now we have to look at the variables. This is new. So you can take out a variable if all the terms have the same variable. And both of these terms have y. So you can take out the smallest exponent. There's an exponent of 2 and an exponent of an imaginary 1 here. So you can take out the small one, so that would be a y. So that's our GCF of these two terms is 4y, because the numbers have a GCF of 4, that Desmos told us. And since they both have the same variable, we can take out the smallest exponent, which in this case is this 1. Now all we have to do is divide. 4y squared divided by 4y is just y. And we can review the exponent rules if we need to. And then negative 24y divided by 4y is negative 6. Negative 24 divided by 4 is negative 6y divided by y is y 0, which is 1. So it just leaves us 6. And again, especially when you have these variables, it's good. This is our answer. It's good to distribute to make sure we get our original problem. 4y times y is 4y squared. 4y times negative 6 is negative 24y. And since we did get our original problem, we know we did it right, and we can move on. A couple more. Here is a longer one, but the same rules apply. You're going to factor out the numbers first. So we have a 10, a 6, and a negative 2. So we're going to go to our Desmos. We're going to hit Functions, GCD. We're going to put a 10, a 6, and a positive 2. We don't have to worry about the negative. And it'll tell us 3 terms. It'll tell us what the GCF of these 3 terms is. It's 2. So we go back, and we know that our number that we can take out is a 2. Now we have to see if there's a variable that we can take out. All these terms have to have the same variable. So x cubed, x squared, and an x. So they all have x. So that means we can take out the smallest exponent. The smallest exponent, again, is the 1. So that's our GCF. And now we can start dividing each of these terms by this term. So 10x cubed divided by 2x is 5x squared. 6x squared divided by 2x is 3x. Negative 2x divided by 2x is negative 1. It's always tricky, but if it's the same term, it's a 1. It's not a 0. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. All right. So this should be our answer. Again, to check it, we're going to distribute to make sure we get the original problem. So 2x times 5x squared is 10x cubed, a rule of exponents. 2x times 3x is 6x squared. And 2x times negative 1 is negative 2x. So we got our original problem. So we know we're right. All right, we're going to do these other ones rather quickly. We're going to do these. So 16 and 24, we're going to use Desmos. We're going to put in 16, and it tells us that it's 8. So we know we're going to take out an 8. And now we look to see if they have the same variable. This one has a b and this one has a b, so we can take out a b because they both have it. All the terms have a b. The smallest b is just 1, so we can take out that. Now we look for c. This has c squared and this has c, so we can take the smallest exponent, which is just 1c. Now we divide 16bc squared divided by 8bc. 16 divided by 8 is 2. B divided by b is gone. C squared divided by c is c. 24 divided by 8 is 3. B divided by b cancels. C divided by c cancels. So we just have 3. So this is our answer. We can check it by multiplying. 8 times 2 is 16. BC squared. And then 8bc times 3 is 24. BC. So we know we're good. So we know we did it right. So the next one, there is no number. The coefficient's 1. We don't have to take out a 1. But we can take out a variable. X squared and x. The smallest one is just the x. Y and y. The smallest one is just y. So now we divide. X squared y divided by x, y. X squared divided by x leaves us 1x. Y's and y's cancel. So we have 3, because 3 divided by 1 is 3. X divided by x cancels. Y divided by y cancels. So this is our final answer. And we're going to check by multiplying. X squared y plus 3xy. And that's the original problem. So we know we did it right. So we have 18 and 48. We're going to use Desmos and put in 18 and 48. It's going to tell us that the GCF is 6. So we go back and we know our number is 6. And we look at the variables. We have a on both of them, a squared and a. We take the smallest one, which is an a. We have b in both of them. We take the smallest one, which is a b. C squared and c cubed. We take the smallest one, which is c squared. Now all we have to do is divide. 18 divided by 6 is 3. A squared divided by a is a. B divided by b cancels. C squared divided by c squared cancels. Negative 48 divided by 6 is negative 8. A divided by a cancels. B divided by b cancels. C cubed divided by c squared is c. So this should be our answer. And if we check by multiplication, 6 times 3 is 18. A squared b c squared. And then negative 48 a b c cubed. So we checked and it's right. I sped up a little bit because this is just, at this point, this is just a review. Just examples. So now we have 9, 18, and 24. So put in our 3 numbers in Desmos. Our GCF is 3. So we know our number is 3. Now, do they all have R? R, R, and R? They do. We take the smallest one, which is just this one. Just one R. And then there's an S too, but do they all 3 terms have an S? They don't. This one doesn't, so we can't take out any S. Remember, all the terms have to have the same variable. If they don't, then you can't take it out. So for this one, all we can do is take out the R, which is this R1. And now we do our division. This is going to be 3R7. This is going to be minus 6RS. And this is going to be minus 8S squared. And that would be our answer. We'll multiply to make sure. 9R8 minus 18R squared S minus 24RS squared. That's what we have up here, the original problem, so we're good. So that's my quick explanation of finding the GCF.